Hi everyone and welcome to Smart Alex Coaching. We offer mathematics tutoring for primary and high school students, both online and face-to-face. In my previous two videos, I looked at how to add subtract fractions by first converting both fractions to a common denominator. In this video, I want to look more on why we need a common denominator. Firstly, some common mistakes. When I ask students to add fractions such as a half and a quarter together or subtract fractions such as 3/4, take away a half, some of the common responses I often get is the students would often add the numerators together 1 plus 1 over 2 plus 4, giving them the answer of 2/6. But we know that a half plus a quarter is not 2/6. It is in fact 3/4. Similarly, 3/4 minus a half, students would often subtract the numerators and the denominators to give them the answer of 2 over 2, which is 1. But we know 3/4 take away a half is not 1. The answer is a quarter. So what we're going to look at is why we actually need to convert to a common denominator. When we add like fractions such as a fifth and 2/5, let's look at how I represent a fifth. A fifth can be represented using a bar that's divided into 5 equal parts, and I'm going to shade one part out of 5. The fraction of 2/5 can also be represented using the identical size bar, also divided into 5 equal parts, and we're going to shade 2 parts out of the 5. When we add them together, we're going to be able to fill in another identical bar divided into 5 parts, and we're going to be able to shade in 3. So it's quite obvious here that 1/5 plus 2/5 will give us the answer of 3/5. Let's now look at related fractions. I want to add a third and 7/12. Representing a third using a bar, I can have a rectangular bar divided into 3 parts, and I'm going to be shading 1 unit out of the 3. The fraction of 7/12, again representing it with equal size bar, and I'm going to now be dividing it into 12 equal parts, and I'm going to be shading 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, but because these are different size units, what I'm going to have to do first is I'm going to need to make sure to convert them all to equal size units. So what I can do with the fraction of a third is I can divide it further into 12 units as follows. And from here, what I see is that the fraction of a third is in fact the same as 4/12. They are equivalent fractions. So to add a third and 7/12, this is effectively the same as adding 4/12 and 7/12 together, which is going to give me 11 over 12. So I So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4/12 plus 7/12 is in fact 11 over 12. Let's look at adding unrelated fractions. To add 2/3 and 1/5 together, I first need to determine the common denominator, and I can do that by finding the LCM of 3 and 5. The LCM of 3 and 5 is going to give me 15. Let's look at the fraction of 2/3. 2/3, I can represent it using a bar that's divided into 3 units, and I'm going to be shading 2 units out of the 3. The fraction of 1/5 can be represented using equal size rectangular bar, this time divided into 5 units, and I'm going to be shading 1 unit out of the 5. But since, again, these units are of different size, our first step is to convert them to equal size units. And what I can do for 2/3, each of the smaller unit, I can divide that into 5 smaller units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, what I've got is 2/3 is the same as 10 over 15. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, for 1/5, each of the small unit now gets divided into 3 smaller units. So 1, 2, 3, 3. And what we see is 1/5 is the same as 3/15. So to add that up, 2/3 is the same as 10/15. 1/5 is the same as 3/15. We simply add them, adding the numerators together. I should get the answer of 13/15. So I'm going to divide this bar now into 15 equal units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out of that, I'm going to be shading 13 units. So that's the representation of how we add unrelated fractions and get the answer of 13/15. Subtracting unrelated fractions. Again, let's look at 2/3 take away 1/5. 2/3 can be represented using rectangular bar divided into 3 equal sections, and I'm going to shade 2 units out of the 3. 1/5 is this much, the same rectangular size bar, divided into 5 equal sections, and I'm going to take 1/5. Suppose I want to take this quantity away from the top bar. It's a little bit hard to tell exactly how much we need to take off. So what we're going to do, like in the previous question, is we're going to convert them to the same common denominator. So as determined previously, the LCM of 3 and 5 is 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide each bar into 15 units. Okay, so now we see that 2/3 is the same as 10/15, and 1/5 is the same as 3/15. So if I want to take away 1/5 from 2/3, that means this section is going to disappear, and we're going to have left 7/15. One. Yes. And that is why when we add or subtract fractions, we do need a common denominator. I hope you like that video. If you do, please share it and do consider subscribing. But until then, enjoy math, and I'll see you in the next video.